Hi everyone, this is Neel Raithatha, also known as the Wax Whisperer. Thank you for joining me in my latest video. I have a couple of paediatric cases that I've compiled together for you in this video, and this is of patient one. Now, patient one has been suffering from long-standing hearing loss and otalgia, so earache in their left ear, for a couple of years now, and the GP diagnosed earwax and recommended the patient use drops. And despite using the drops, as you can see, the wax is still there, and it's really dark. It's quite a solid piece, actually. It's immediately impacted. It's right up against their eardrum. And you may have seen their right ear at the beginning of this clip, and although their right ear was clear of earwax, their eardrum was dull, it was retracted, and it was inflamed, so it would appear they've got glue ear. In fact, I later performed a pressure test to confirm the presence of glue ear, which is fluid buildup behind the eardrum. I'll try and discuss that a bit more during the course of the video. And they eventually got a referral to paediatric audiology to undergo a hearing test just a day prior to the patient attending the clinic. And the hearing test showed a mild hearing loss in their right side, and in the left side, of course, it was substantially worse because of this wax plug. And they were advised to have the wax removed. I did ask the patient's mother, who was in attendance, whether anything was made reference to in regard to the right side, because it was very apparent to me the right ear was infected just as soon as I examined it. And the patient advised no, because the hearing loss was just borderline. There was more concerns about their left ear. So this has been there for a while, and it was really difficult to remove. The patient was amazing, very brave. And whenever you're doing earwax removing children in particular who are very nervous, can be challenging. And during the course of this video, we actually paused on 3 separate occasions because the patient wanted to see what I was doing and where the wax was, and they could obviously feel this wax as I was bringing it forwards. This lump of wax here is larger than the entrance, hence why I'm struggling to squeeze it through. We put a lot of olive oil in there to try and lubricate it. I tried to use a Formby ear hook and also a St. Bart's. So this is the Formby ear scoop, and unfortunately it just pushed it back in. So I'm now going to go back in with the suction and bring it forwards again. And I did the same with the St. Bart's ear hook, with the St. Bart's ear hook. Instead of trying to leverage the wax plug out, as soon as I made contact with the wax plug, it just dropped back into the ear. So hence why we're going to have to remove this with suction. I initially used a fine end suction probe to minimize the noise for the patient, but again, that wasn't powerful enough. So this is when I used the ear hook. So I'm trying to leverage it in and behind, and it just pushed it further in. And we're stretching the patient's ears wide open as possible to make it larger so the wax plug can squeeze through. And it was great showing it back to the patient because they could see that what we were doing. They felt more reassured. It calmed them down, and it really, really helped. Now, once we removed this wax plug, this patient also had glue ear in their left ear. So I'll explain what glue ear is. Behind the eardrum in the middle ear, we have the middle ear cavity, and that should be air-filled, and ideally we want the air pressure in the middle ear to be equal to the air pressure in the atmosphere. When the air pressure is equal either side of the eardrum, that's when our eardrum is most compliant, most mobile. Therefore, that's when we hear the best. And there's a tube called the eustachian tube that connects the middle ear to the back of the nose, the nasopharynx, which is responsible to equalizing the air pressure in the middle ear. And at normal resting state, the eustachian tube is actually shut at the back of the nose. But during brief moments in the day, involuntarily, without us knowing, when we swallow, yawn or chew, the muscles either side of the eustachian tube where it adjoins to the back of the nose contract, causing the eustachian tube to open momentarily, and that's when the air pressure can equalize. But if that eustachian tube fails to open at the back of the nose when it should be, and there could be various reasons, it could be the patient's just got anatomically very narrow eustachian tube, the muscles that contract to open it can become paralyzed, so they're not strong enough, they're weakened muscles, so they don't open up the eustachian tube when the muscles contract. It could also be that there's some nasal obstruction, or most commonly with children, they've just got chronic congestion, nasal obstruction, mucus, inflammation. So that prevents the eustachian tube from performing its function, which results in a lack of air behind the middle ear. All the remaining air gets absorbed by the cells in the middle ear. And it then creates a vacuum effect. Your eardrum gets pulled inwards like you're on a plane. And when all the air gets absorbed by the cells in the middle ear, it draws out fluid in the cells in the middle ear. And that fluid then builds up. It can't drain out the eustachian tube because that's blocked. This fluid builds up, and eventually it gets infected, and we call that glue ear. And it's very likely this patient will need grommets, so we refer them to ENT. Fingers crossed they can get that resolved. But they were delighted with the service they've received, and so yeah, removing that plug of wax from the left, it did improve their hearing, of course, but it's still not going to be 100% because of glue ear. This is patient 2. So patient 2 attended with this really, still we don't know what the object is, but they've got this white foreign body lodged in the ear, and initially I thought it was the end of a Q-tip, but it clearly wasn't. And you'll see a still image of it at the end of the video. So patient, again, was the same age as the first patient. They're both age 7. So remove that without too much difficulty. So just because they've got the patient here, although this is not really going to improve their hearing massively, the patient was still enough for me to remove some of this dead skin. I think this bit was a bit noisy for them, so after this we stopped. But the eardrum's healthy, it's intact, it's visible. We did a pressure test, that eardrum's moving fine, so there's no glue ear. So this is the object. I'm still untoo sure what this object is, but it definitely wasn't cotton wool. But whatever it is, we managed to remove it. I hope you enjoyed that quick compilation, guys. Do take care, keep well, and speak soon. Bye.